LPT, getting the job done badly is usually better than not doing it at all. Brushing your teeth for 10 seconds is better than not brushing. Exercising for 5 minutes is better than not exercising. Handing in homework with some wrong answers is better than getting a 0 for not handing anything in. Paying off some of your credit debt reduces the interest you'll accrue if you can't pay it all off. Making a honey sandwich for breakfast is better than not eating. The list goes on and on. If you can't do it right, half-ass it instead. It's better than doing nothing. And sometimes you might look back and realize you accomplished more than you thought you could.
Unless someone is relying on that work being done and assumes that you've completed it. Big safety issue.
Yeah, this is like LifeProTips advice for when there isn't going to be serious consequences.
After having depression, I live by this. It gives me more time when it comes to big things to focus on that. Like a quick sweep is better than leaving the floor. A 5-minute stretch is better than doing nothing at all.
I half-assed the nuclear reactor startup sequence. I guess I may as well go home.
Never let the perfect be the enemy of the good.
Bought a house before a gap in the wooden fronting where the wood has neither the time, nor money, nor skills to repair it. A piece of unpainted wood over the top. Siliconed it so it was watertight at better than having a hole where rain and insects could come. Lasted all winter. Then I cut the wood properly, sanded it, painted it, fitted it. Trick is to know that the job is done badly or temporarily, and not pretend that just because it held up you can get away with that forever.
If something's worth doing, it's worth doing badly, as long as badly doesn't result in danger, bodily harm, etc.
I feel you on that, and that's why I say, usually. Most chores, jobs, tasks we do day to day don't have serious safety concerns. And I certainly don't mean this LPT to be about lying about how much you accomplished. If you did a half-assed job and it affects someone else, of course you should be honest and let them know. But I think in most cases they will be less upset to hear you did something rather than nothing.
Unless you work in IT, then it ends up becoming business critical.
I mean, this really better to have no power than faulty wiring that sets your house in fire without you. Better to wait for a plumber to install your pipes than to do it yourself, cause a hidden leak, and having your entire house quietly rot until you.
A job poorly done is still a job done, is a phrase we throw around a lot where I work.
Aim for pathetic is great advice I heard once. Relieved face. My personal mantra is, something is better than nothing. Every little bit helps, and it all adds up.
Yeah, but that's just a new issue to be resolved.
Reminds me of, what do you call a person who finished last in their medical school? Doctor.
The new homeowner in me also feels this. There's a reason I went with my inspector for every part of my inspection, including the crawl space. I at least want to know what's been fixed well, and the things that are patches and will need addressing. It some has taught me it's a never-ending to-do list that can break you financially, mentally if you try to do everything all at once and at full price.
Thanks, I hate it. As a perfectionist I know you're right, but my brain must worry over every detail until I'm sure I have it figured out, or the deadline is looming and I must start, and then criticize everything I did wrong at the end.
If you are an engineer or surgeon, please disregard this LPT.
Job security.
Never let the good be the enemy of okay law.
C's get degrees.
A. The trick is to make the band-aids juiced good enough. Not so good that no one wants to do the proper fix in 6 to 12 months, but good enough to get through whatever crisis, P1, P2 situation you're in.
I hear this. When I was in a dark place in law school, I essentially just made it a goal to show up, even if I was late, even if I didn't complete the reading, etc. It's okay if you don't do things well. I ended up doing things better than I expected. My best at that time was good enough. So that's my philosophy. Just show up as you are.
Exactly what I do with my house with my rough and ready repairs. I repeat this to myself. Doing something is better than doing fixed to the value of the house. It helped with decided like if I wanted Anderson window replacements or a less expensive option that would take care of the problem but not break the bank. Also, let's get another year out of you. I say this while jerry-rigging things like patio furniture, the screen door, cabinet doors, the list is long. I'm kind of proud of how long I've stretched the life of outdoors chairs. I save some parts of things that die that I use to fix other stuff that's on death's door. I think of it as sort of being environmental, and being lazy and frugal as I don't want to go buy another I figure I have nothing to lose, whatever I'm fixing is broken already.
A better way to say this is, progress is better than perfection. It would only be better if it's in the direction of where you're trying to get. Instance saying, bad workout is better than no workout. It would actually be worse for you if you're lifting too heavy or your form is bad because it will injure you and you won't even be able to do basic things in the lawn apply to everything else. Let's say you want to help your partner make dinner. Cooking badly than not cooking at all may lead to something inedible, so your partner has to clean up and start from the start doing more work than if you hadn't cooked poorly. Could be applied to other things like driving. List goes on, and doing things improperly could be more detrimental.
I feel this deeply in my soul. In my case, I think it's breaking me.
Nothing is more permanent than a temporary solution.
Homeownership has also taught me to ask friends in construction for a recommended home inspector, instead of going with my ex-mother-in-law's friend.
There is nothing more permanent than a temporary solution.
I wrote a janky macro in VBS that called all sorts of stuff. It worked, for my surprise, 12 months later, to be asked to maintain it once someone factored it into a live project without telling me.
Never let the okay be the enemy of meh. Well, I graduated. I did really well actually. I got a clerkship. I now have a hard job to get. It turns out it's not my favorite job, but it's okay for now due to my actually got a really devastating injury in 2021, a TBI, that has altered my life trajectory significantly. Really, I got 2 injuries, but the first isn't as devastating, so that's been hard. But again, I just keep showing up to the extent I can. And I managed to keep my job during this time. I've found the rehab I needed. I've managed to keep living on my own and being able to afford my life. So my life philosophy of just showing up as you are has been helpful. But again, my best during this time has been good enough. I decided to run an 8K, even though that maybe would seem crazy to people given my circumstances. But I trained. I did what I could. And I did it last weekend. I ran it. My time was good. To go from not being able to run, also sensitive outside for various reasons, to running 5 miles outside with a 10-minute mile was a huge deal. So what I'm trying to say is that I'm in my Rocky montage at the moment.
One of the golden rules of fix is better than no is for magazine covers, not your home. If the roof doesn't cave in, you're doing something right. Renovations can really eat away all your joy and pride. Don't let them. Embrace the unfinished, temporary and hideous.
I'm a put fires out as they happen kind of person, but true adulting has been learning how to handle knowing that you can't put out all the fires at once and some just have to burn for a little bit until you can fight them later.
Oops, click the link in the email, winking face.
I think you can exclude most tasks related to medical field, any engineering related to safety, and legal work.
All home inspectors suckkkkkkk. They will never do the proper amount of work to find the real issues. They show up for an hour, charge you way too much, and guaranteed to miss obvious things. Like a hole in my roof. Aim for Pathetic is a great band name.
No, what Op described works even in those fields because the alternative is nothing at all when it's a need. The key is understanding that it's a temporary thing and riskier than normal.
I mean, a home inspection that covers literally everything will be 12 hours long. They are there to make sure your electrical isn't going to start a fire, that there isn't a hole in your roof, don't know what happened there, that there isn't a leak in the bathroom, etc. They absolutely do serve a vital and important function.
One time I was involved in the center of an EPA asbestos spill investigation because I cut a wire about 1 inch or 2 to splice it and then threw away the 2 inches I cut. 3 months later somebody in an audit goes, "How did you prove that wasn't asbestos impregnated insulation on the wire?" I still get PTSD now when people mention asbestos.
And no one is an expert in everything. You have to ask the inspector what they did before this job. If they were a contractor, they will be better at finding construction issues. If they were an electrician, electric issues. Plumber, plumbing issues. Pest exterminator, you get to different people and use their expertise. Same as a doctor.
My most recent home inspection was hours and I received a PDF with pictures, notes and high-level remediation steps of everything they identified. It was 200+ pages long. I think it ran $400 a few years ago in a low-call area. Worth every penny. My first house, the inspector was there for 45 minutes. Said everything looked good and left. Learned my lesson about 6 months later. Everything was not good.